In this video, I'll be discussing about some of my favorite truly next-gen, 10 out of 10 games that you can play on your PS5, and some of them even on your PC. This list includes games that I've personally played and enjoyed. While some of these games originated on the PS4, the ones I'm highlighting here are truly outstanding, and I can confidently recommend them to anyone seeking a great PS5 experience. Demon's Souls. This game is an absolute classic with next-gen graphics. It's truly phenomenal and makes me question the quality of other PS5 games released so far. Bluepoint did an outstanding job, and I hope they tackle remakes of Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne next. Demon's Souls remains one of the most visually stunning games to date, even nearly 4 years after its release. Its graphics fully utilize the capabilities of the PS5. Regarding the gameplay, Demon's Souls is a faithful remake of From Software's revered classic, enhanced with modern features to keep pace with contemporary gaming. You will encounter a challenging yet gratifying action RPG experience, complete with formidable bosses to conquer and intricate dungeons to navigate. If you're familiar with the Souls series, Demon's Souls serves as its origin, featuring many familiar mechanics that have since become genre standards. The motion capture, textures, and audio might all be new, but the hardcore action is utterly faithful to the original, offering the same brutal learning curve and sense of monumental achievement with every victory. From Software's original formula has been respected, but there are some new tweaks too: new items, armor, and weapons to covet, a change to the amount of healing grass you can carry, and new consumable grains that offer buffs as you adventure. Horizon Forbidden West. The first game introduced us to Aloy and her quest to save the world from deranged machines. And in Forbidden West, her journey continues as she seeks to restore the biosphere. If you're in search of the ultimate PS5 game offering an open-world, narrative-driven adventure, Horizon Forbidden West is the perfect choice. Building upon the success of Horizon Zero Dawn on PS4, Aloy's latest journey is visually stunning and brimming with thrilling robot dinosaur encounters. While some may argue that it doesn't deviate significantly from Zero Dawn or introduce groundbreaking features, Forbidden West undeniably stands out as one of the finest experiences available on PS5. And don't overlook the side quests. They offer some of the most engaging gameplay I've encountered on PS5 or any other platform in recent years. It's delightful to see some classic machines return, bringing back memories, alongside a host of new machines that took me by surprise. The upgraded skill tree in Forbidden West offers a plethora of new options to enhance Aloy's abilities, making her stronger for the challenges ahead. Discovering new weapons in various settlements is thrilling. Progressing through the game means finding even better weapons, giving me the upper hand against tougher enemies. I highly recommend this game to anyone looking to get immersed in a deep game world for over 30 hours. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. After spending over 60 hours diving into every aspect of Jedi Survivor, I can confidently say it lives up to my expectations as a big fan of its predecessor. I'd rate it a solid 10 out of 10. I know it had some issues at the launch, but it's a great game. Visually, Jedi Survivor is stunning. Just like Fallen Order, the attention to detail is incredible, pulling me even deeper into the Star Wars universe. Each planet has its own vibe, making exploration a real treat. Gameplay-wise, Survivor isn't drastically different from the first game, but there are some nice improvements, like expanded combat skills and perks, and bringing over Cal's abilities from the first game was a smart move, making movement feel smooth and consistent. Plus, being able to fast travel between meditation points makes getting around a lot easier, even though traveling between planets can still take a while, especially if you're a completionist. And while there's more to do off the beaten path, a lot of the optional stuff just kind of happens naturally as you play, which is a nice touch. The story is definitely worth experiencing. It's a bit predictable at times, but it fits really well with the overall vibe of the game. Personally, I preferred the darker tone of the first game, but Survivor still has a lot to offer. And while the ending left me wanting a bit more, it wraps up the character development nicely. I pretty much bought a new console just to play this game, and I picked it up at full price right after it came out. And honestly, I think it's been worth every penny. So I'd say give it a shot.
Meager.
God of War Ragnarok. The expectations and the bar for God of War Ragnarok was so high and almost impossible to reach because God of War 2018 ended up being one of the greatest game of all time, and sequels of projects historically ends up being a bit toned down. But it's safe to say that gave this series a new height with this one. They did it so well. The story, graphics, game mechanics, dialogues, character development, music, twists and turns, and so many more things makes this game truly the best God of War game of them all. Small things like devs having a humor and actually adding it to the game with clever dialogues by our characters is like the cherry on top we didn't even know we needed. I 100% recommend it to every gamer. You can basically watch just the story parts without playing the actual game and you will still find it interesting. It's a movie. Even the side quests don't feel like side quests. They legit enhance a character and their respective background in such a brilliant way that you enjoy doing them. I like how they focused on other characters as well. They definitely needed some screen time. You need to experience both God of War 2018 and Ragnarok to have this once-in-a-lifetime of experience.
This feels familiar. What?
Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is seriously amazing. If you've already played Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales, you gotta dive into this one. It's a must. Insomniac totally knocks it out of the park with this sequel. The story in this game is on a whole other level compared to the first two. It's way more over the top and wild, but still packed with emotional moments. The character development for both our heroes and the villains is top-notch. Overall, the story left me feeling satisfied. Gotta give props to the side missions too. Both Peter and Miles have these big side story arcs, and they're both gripping and compelling. Peter's side adventure even got me hyped for future DLC or maybe even a tease for the next game. Graphics-wise, this game is insane. Both graphical options, with ray tracing included, are mind-blowing. The city feels alive and bustling, with NPCs doing all sorts of stuff like playing tennis on rooftops. Insomniac really outdid themselves with this one. The combat is super fun too. It's a bit simpler this time around, but way more action-packed with all the new abilities. They throw more enemies at you, but the new abilities help with crowd control. They streamlined the gadgets, which I think was a smart move, but I do miss some of the gadgets from the first game. The only minor downsides was playing as MJ is still not my favorite thing, but it's more bearable in this installment. Overall, this is a great game.
Here you go. And now you're in much better hands.
Thanks again. You've really earned how cool that costume is.
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Everything about the game is perfect. Each weapon is an absolute blast. Combat is chaotic, but always fair and extremely well-paced. The dialogue is witty and laugh-out-loud funny in certain moments. The characters are probably what stand out the most. All of them are incredibly charming and bring life to an already vibrant world. The story is endearing and engaging. I can't really think of anything negative about the game. Buy it, and I think all of the main Ratchet and Clank titles have been commercially successful, but I hope this one tops the charts because it deserves to. Hopefully they'll make another one. The Last of Us Part 1 Remake. This is the best way to experience one of the best games of all time. The Last of Us will always be one of my favorite video games of all time. I think the game was very close to perfect, and this remake allows the game to become even closer to being perfect. In 2013, Naughty Dog was limited by the technology of the time on PS3, but now with this PS5 remake, they were able to fully reach their original vision for The Last of Us 1. The remake shows what The Last of Us would have been like if it released in 2022 instead of 2013, and it's beautiful. The added accessibility options are incredible as they allow more players the ability to play this game, because some people might not have been able to play the original game due to the lack of accessibility options at the time, so this remake definitely justifies its existence for many reasons. The new face models of characters are much better, detailed, and looks lifelike. Also, the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers are awesome. They definitely add more immersion to the game. Same with the 3D audio. Even if you've played the original PS3 or PS4 version, the remake is totally worth getting.
We're almost there.
They're getting closer.
Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection includes the 2 games, Uncharted for a Thief's End and Uncharted Lost Legacy. Both games are masterpiece. With this remaster you can play the game on native 4K on your PS5, but it isn't much of jump in graphics from the original PS4 release like we saw in The Last of Us. It's just some higher textures and true 4K support, but the game is totally phenomenal in its own. In my opinion, this is undoubtedly the best Uncharted game in the series, not just because of the superior graphics but also the story and gameplay. I may be biased because this was the first game I played in the series, but I have now also completed the second and third games, and while impressive for being on the PS3, they do not come close to rivaling Uncharted 4. Most importantly, I had the most fun playing this game hands down. The addition of the alert indicator on enemies and being able to mark enemies makes stealth a very viable and fun option in a lot of areas and is very satisfying to pull off. The guns feel much better in this game compared to the previous games, and the controls feel very natural and easy. The story is both thrilling and heartfelt. The characters feel very real and are all lovable. The pacing of the game is great, a good balance between exploring, climbing, and encounters with enemies. The puzzles are quite simple and straightforward but feel fun. There are some epic set pieces but that are still grounded in reality. Some sequences really makes this feel like playing a very good action-adventure film. From beginning to end, this is an absolute joy to play. Would highly recommend this to anyone.
Onward and upward.
Bloodborne. This game is extremely difficult, but almost every time you overcome a challenge, the reward is extreme. While there are a couple of places which are not exactly enjoyable because of the darkness, making out of them feels like a literal breath of fresh air. The bosses are an aspect of this game which truly shines. While they are extremely difficult at times, depending on your own skill set, some of the hardest bosses for others may be the easiest for you. The clothing is all unique but also balanced, so you can dress your character however without making the game drastically more difficult. Unlike Dark Souls, this game is based more on being extremely aggressive with your offense than defense. The rally mechanic makes the gameplay different from other Souls games and not very repetitive. The trick weapons keep the game refreshing instead of hitting an enemy with the same slash 10 times in a row. Overall, it was very fun to play, and I would recommend it if you liked Sekiro, Dark Souls, or any other 3D challenging game. A Plague Tale Requiem. After playing the first game in 2019 and finding the second game, I'm amazed at how far the studio has come in comparison to the first game. The graphics, the gameplay, voice acting, the music score, and wow, that storyline. I've never been so gripped and emotionally invested in a game story in a long while. I'm beyond impressed. The creators did a magnificent job creating a magnificent storyline and impeccable characters. The angst, trauma, and heartbreak I experienced in one game alone is a testament to the dedication they placed in this masterpiece. I loved how even being in the middle of battles, walking, and conversations between characters made me feel so immersed due to the flawless cinematic feel throughout the gameplay. Lastly, I loved all the characters. This game is a huge step up to the first. Made the painstaking effort I put in Innocence worth experiencing the second to the fullest.
Start immediately. I will need silence.
Mother, I'll handle it.
Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I can say with full confidence that this is a quality Yakuza entry and is one of the better ones overall. RGG has refined the combat and gameplay from the previous entry on so many levels. It's as if they addressed every single one of my complaints with the game, and I have personally enjoyed my time with this game very much. It's hard to believe I'd be able to enjoy Yakuza in turn-based form, but it has genuinely surprised me in a very good way. Hawaii as a setting is visually stunning and is an overall nice new location to explore. Though frankly I can't say I was the biggest fan of hearing NPCs speaking English while exploring the island paradise. It kind of felt uncanny in its own way to play this franchise in a foreign land where the main protag and his party almost never speak the local language. Also, the way some Japanese-speaking characters use an entirely different voice actor for their occasional English lines threw me off. The class system adds a lot of variety and allows for some impressive builds that lets you tailor your team to your liking, and I enjoyed playing around with it a lot. The story was pretty good overall. The game heavily relies on callbacks and references to previous Yakuza games to the point where it's highly discouraged that you play this as your first entry into the franchise. The game has a whole mechanic dedicated to memories of previous games. For people who made it this far into the franchise, however, it's a lot of fan service for sure, and I welcome it. For a turn-based game, RGG managed to pull an actual fun experience after going at it a second time and fixed many of Like a Dragon's shortcomings and design flaws, and I love this game for it. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. With Final Fantasy VII Remake setting the stage for uncharted territory, its successor, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, wastes no time diving into fresh waters. While retaining elements from the original, Rebirth promises a plethora of twists and turns for both new and seasoned players alike. In terms of gameplay, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth offers a significantly expanded experience, blending turn-based action with open-world exploration on a grand scale. With a multitude of side activities awaiting discovery, guiding Cloud and company through this vibrant and often humorous adventure offers endless possibilities. While some may feel hesitant about the alterations to the original storyline, others will find Rebirth's approach to the remake a breath of fresh air. For those seeking a visually stunning world to immerse themselves in or craving a new and engaging combat system, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth stands out as one of the top choices among PS5 games available today. Returnal. As one of Sony's big hitters for the PS5, Returnal is definitely going to grab the attention of gamers who might not have dabbled in roguelikes before. But let me tell you, diving into its tough gameplay, ever-changing levels, and that whole start over when you die deal can be a real eye-opener. Still, once you get sucked into Returnal's alien world and start grinding through a few cycles, it's hard to put down. Returnal sticks to Housemarque's signature bullet hell style, so every room you enter is going to throw something new at you, and dying means hitting that reset button. But man, with its gripping story and immersive gameplay, plus all the cool features the PS5 offers like 3D audio and DualSense, you'll keep coming back for it.
Encountered scavenger fire.
Alan Wake 2. In a nutshell, Alan Wake 2 is the sequel we needed but didn't deserve. This title is just a brilliant game, and I would encourage all gamers to experience this masterpiece because it is more of an experience than it is a game. It is brilliantly crafted, has fantastic artwork, has a great story and presentation. This game blew me away on so many occasions throughout my experience. There are people who like to hate, and those people can hate all they want but don't hate something for being original or because it is not what you are used to. As a gamer all my life, I can safely say there are a lack of games with this kind of quality attached. If you prefer an open-world sandbox of a title and everything that comes with it, then great, but if you prefer a story-based game that has a wonderful narrative, is full of atmosphere, mystery, and has some scares to boot, then this game is a must. It is evident that this game was made by very passionate developers, and it is clear that Sam Lake loves the Alan Wake universe as his imprint is all over the Remedy Studios' flagship project. The game was made with care, love, and was made with attention to detail. There are some great nods to Lake's Finnish heritage throughout, along with some fantastic Max Payne Easter eggs with the late James McCaffrey voicing both Max Payne and Alex Casey from Alan Wake 2. I would highly recommend this game. Resident Evil 4. I gotta admit, when I heard they were remaking Resident Evil 4, I was skeptical. I mean, how do you improve on a game that's already considered a masterpiece, right? But man, did Capcom prove me wrong. This remake is on a whole other level. See, a lot of remakes these days just focus on sprucing up the graphics and making a few minor tweaks. And don't get me wrong, that's cool and all, but this remake, it's in a league of its own. They took the original Resident Evil 4 as a base and then went to town with it, adding all these modern twists and turns that make it feel fresh and exciting. The chapters and levels? Tighter than ever. And the pacing? Perfect. They managed to cut out the stuff that didn't work while adding in new sections that fit seamlessly with the rest of the game. And let me tell you, the village, the castle, even the island, they've all been revamped and improved beyond belief. But let's talk bosses. They've either been reworked or given a major facelift, But here's the best part. This remake doesn't try to replace the original. It stands alongside it, complementing it in all the right ways. Capcom didn't set out to erase Resident Evil 4 from existence. They wanted to show us what it would look like if it were made today. And they nailed it. Devil May Cry 5. One of the best games I have played on the PS5. The combat is so fast-paced and over-the-top. Takes some time to master, but it's worth a try. The characters have also given enough time to shine. The gameplay is so balanced and damn satisfying. The boss fights are made well, and overall this game is worth your money.
Go to hell!
Days Gone. Although it's a PS4 game, Days Gone looks incredible and one of the best post-apocalyptic open-world games out there. You can get it on PS5 and play at 60 frames per second. The world of Days Gone feels so alive and so detailed. It's got the detail of, say, The Last of Us, but in a huge game world. The gameplay is fun. From riding your hog to the gunplay, it's all satisfying. The bike in particular handles amazingly well and actually feels like a character in the game. I also loved looting and crafting, and that's a huge part of Days Gone. You loot enemy bodies as well as environments. From abandoned houses to schools, gas stations, small incorporated towns to farms. The landscape is varied. For instance, you can use oil filters for silencers and so on. There are a variety of human enemies that range from cultists who worship the Freakers, gangs and bandits who have their own bikes and bases of operations. Then there's the wildlife like wolves, cougars and bears that stalk the forests, deserts and mountains of Oregon. There's also deer in the game world that can be looted for meat. In fact, all uninflected animals can be looted for meat. You also can loot berries, herbs, and mushrooms that can be used for various purposes. There's also infected freaker animals too. Runners, which are infected wolves, are massive and can keep pace with your bike. There's crows that have large nests and will swoop down from the sky to attack you. Then there's the rager bears, complete with barbed wire and posts stuck in their skin, that are pretty terrifying in their own right. The best and most terrifying part of Days Gone are the freakers. They are undead zombies either. They are in fact living humans that are infected and have mutated and sleep in nests during the day and feed at night. There are a variety too that range from basic freakers to many or variations that I won't spoil. I can't relay the terror you'll feel when you encounter your first horde. It brings up a level of terror that will make you want to run in the other direction. They are manageable in small numbers, but a horde, especially the ones later on composed of hundreds, are a different matter entirely. The narrative is pretty basic fare, but still interesting, and there's more than a few memorable characters as well.
Deer crossing. You don't get worried about traffic no more, do you?
Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima was already a breathtaking experience on the PlayStation 4, but with the director's cut on the PS5, it reaches new heights of visual and gameplay excellence. Playing as Samurai Jin Sakai feels even more immersive and exhilarating, especially with the enhanced performance and stunning 4K visuals that bring Tsushima's landscapes to life in vibrant detail. The addition of features like 3D audio and full Japanese lip sync further enrich the experience, immersing players even deeper into the world of feudal Japan. But perhaps the most exciting addition is the Iki Island story expansion, which takes players to a new and mysterious setting filled with supernatural threats. It's a substantial addition that feels like a mini-sequel in its own right, offering hours of additional gameplay and story content that seamlessly integrates with the main campaign. For fans of Ghost of Tsushima, the director's cut is more than just a visual upgrade. It's a chance to dive back into the world they love and embark on a new adventure that expands upon the original game in meaningful ways. Whether you're a newcomer or a returning player, this enhanced version of Ghost of Tsushima offers an unforgettable journey through feudal Japan that shouldn't be missed. Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 next-gen update was great. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is most definitely one of the best open-world RPGs ever made. The main story really pulls you in and keeps you interested at all times. Side quests are just as interesting as the main story, and I would advise anyone playing The Witcher for the first time to play all of the side quests. Don't only go for the main story. Some of the side quests make a massive difference to the ending. The open world is beautiful, and each region has a different setting, from the Velan swamps and the snowy hills of Skellige. The game gives you so many different choices throughout the game, so you really get that role-playing feel. Just when you finish the main story and you think it can't get any better, there are 2 massive DLCs to play through, continuing Geralt of Rivia's story, my favorite being Blood and Wine. Overall, I would recommend this game to pretty much everyone. Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is like living out your wildest Dungeons and Dragons adventure, but on your computer or console. It's got everything you'd want in a fantasy game. You can even play with your friends. The coolest thing about Baldur's Gate 3 is that it feels just like playing Dungeons and Dragons with your buddies. You've got a dungeon master guiding the story, and every choice you make can change how things play out. Plus, you can team up with your pals for even more fun. Exploring ancient ruins, fighting big battles, and solving mysteries, Baldur's Gate 3 has it all. It's like stepping into a whole new world filled with magic and excitement. If you're a fan of Dungeons and Dragons or just love a good RPG, Baldur's Gate 3 is a must-play. It's an epic adventure that'll keep you hooked from start to finish.
The console appears dormant.
Elden Ring. Wait for Elden Ring felt like forever, but when From Software finally delivered their masterpiece, it was worth every second. Sure, the game is tough as nails, but if you stick with it, you'll find some of the most satisfying combat and exploration around. Elden Ring doesn't hold your hand. It throws you into massive boss fights and a sprawling world without mercy. But that's what makes it so special. Every victory feels earned, every discovery is exciting, and every defeat just pushes you to try again. It's no wonder Elden Ring snagged a perfect 10 out of 10 from gamers and took home the Game of the Year award. It's a game that demands your attention and rewards your perseverance, and it's easily one of the best experiences you can have in gaming.